Hey you!
Let's talk about money, shall we? Well, not necessarily yours, unless you live in Europe. The US dollar totally can bring you places, but if you have ever been abroad and paying with dollars, how often did you experience that the locals just gave you the change in the local currency or calculated with sketchy exchange rates? If you ever traveled around in Europe, you know about the convenience of traveling a lot of countries and not having to exchange money for every place you go, as you just pay with the same currency, the euro. So, how good is the idea to have a shared currency? Let's find out.
I'm new to this whole YouTube thing and I want to improve myself to give you better content. I want to talk with you about economics, its history, its impact, and also why it's important for us all and therefore understand the world a little bit better. If you are interested in these topics or you just want to see the channel grow, please do not forget to click subscribe. Also, please let me know in the comments below what I can do better and what topics you're interested in. With this out of the way, let's go back to the video.
Rober Mundell investigated in his work of optimum currency areas the impact of asymmetric shocks on two countries which do have a fixed exchange rate, even being awarded with the Nobel Prize in 1999. An asymmetric shock is an unexpected impulse at the supply or demand which results in a negative impact on the price, production and/or the employment rate. A drastic increase of the prices of resources, for instance because of oil prices, will result in a different effect on production and employment in exporting and importing countries, as well as in countries with a fixed exchange rate. Following this theory, a country where a shock is taking place will usually have to deal with higher unemployment rates, a country without shock, higher inflation rate. If both countries have their own currency, the economic discrepancy between them can be aligned with a depreciation of the currency, which will avoid the increase of unemployment. Especially if the recession or crisis should be minimized with a change of the supply of available money, meaning increasing of inflation due to printing more money, the exchange rate for the currencies have to be adjusted. However, if there's a fixed exchange rate between both currencies or both areas using the same currency, this is not possible. Therefore, having a fixed currency exchange rate or the same currency has to result in a renunciation of an autonomy in monetary policy. Even though they still have the autonomy in the fiscal policy, they still have to limit their freedom in that field a bit as well. This is due to the fact that with a shared economy, the seigniorage, meaning the profit from money creation, is lost on an individual level, and this loss has to be compensated from other incomes. Furthermore, the taxation can't be too extreme, as in a monetary union, due to the shared money, the fluctuation of money is increased, and funds can easily move into other regions. An easy example for this is the relocation of companies or persons from the Silicon Valley to Texas in the US. It's pretty clear that the costs for implementing a monetary union are more on a macroeconomic level. The benefits, however, are more apparent on a microeconomic level. Thus, it's hard to have an easy cost-benefit analysis, and additionally, usually the decision for shared currency are also a political one, to have a stronger union. As John Mead was saying, thus, like a flag, it presents to the world a great symbol of unity. Nevertheless, as the strong tool of monetary policy is eradicated from each nation, they have to have alternative measurements to deal with economic shocks. This could be, for example, a higher wage flexibility or mobility for people and for capital. Higher wage flexibility means the possibility to implement lower wages instead of having to fire the people. This means this would transfer the risk to employees, as they would pay the price for the monetary union with lower social security. Ideally, they would receive a higher wage in times of a strong economic situation. But if you're already working and ever had a salary negotiation, well, you know how that works. As Mundell described, the region with an asymmetric shock would suffer from a higher unemployment rate, as the production and demand would just move to other regions and increase their. If the monetary union would also give a high mobility for people, they could move to those regions where the demand for the work has moved to. This is a very rational approach, and in the European Union, for instance, we have multiple spoken languages. Therefore, it's usually not easy to find a job in another country if you don't speak the local language. Also, in some cultures, the people are less willing to move for work-related reasons and are not just influenced by the potential salary and payday, but also social and psychological and political factors. Another alternative measurement is the requirement for a higher capital mobility. That means that the capital can move within the monetary union much faster, which will, on the one hand, allow being able to find the most lucrative investments to make a profit on investments, but on the other hand also allows for lower costs of credits. As long as flexible exchange rate exists, a high capital mobility is weakening the outcome of fiscal policies, as you can just transfer the money into a different, more stable currency. However, you have the benefit of controlling the monetary policy and therefore control the inflation directly. As in a single currency or a fixed exchange rate, the possibility of transferring the money into a different reserve currency is not given, the fiscal policies become more effective. Generally speaking, the fiscal policy is more efficient to have an impact on the job market. Last but not least, another measurement could be the possibility to make financial transfers from one region into another, meaning those regions who are profitable will subsidize those regions which are struggling. This method of transfer is a super effective way to have an equilibrium of living standards. However, often this is communicated to be unfair, as often single regions are economically strong for a long period and often can invest into their own infrastructure, etc., to maintain their status as economically strong region, and with that, be the region that pays for other regions for a long time. So what do you think now? Is it a good thing sharing a currency? If you're from Europe, are you glad that we have the euro? Or are you from a country where you think it would be nice if you would share a currency with your neighbors? Or do you think that it's more efficient if everyone has his own local currency? I'm interested what you think about this, so please let me know. Me personally, I'm a big fan of the euro, and even though the economic union and the European Monetary Union is not perfect, I think it's a great tool and also makes the life of many people and especially tourists way easier. For the dollar, that's just a powerhouse, and you can still consider the US to be a monetary union as well due to the sheer size of the US, but as other countries rather fix their own currency to the dollar, and the US is in the position that they have via their currency influence on other countries. The reason that the US dollar is the world currency, I'll mention in my upcoming video about the World Trade Organization. Click subscribe if you don't want to miss on that, or if you're interested in economic history and economics. Also, If you want to know how inflation works, I also made a video already on that, which I'll link here. And if you already started with that one, please check my other videos. And I'll see you in the next one.